Hello. Oh, amazing, wonderful Daniel Roe. It is great to have you on this podcast. How are you today?
Hello, it's great to be here. And I'm very well, even though it is a very cloudy, wet afternoon here in Edinburgh.
Really, here in in Indiana, like it's all like it's snowing. It is absolutely insane.
No,
Yeah, I had to like shovel the driveway like twice yesterday actually, and then I had to shovel it one more time this morning. This is a lovely winter. It is definitely fun, and I'm getting my exercise in. So, oh no, it's Sunday.
yeah, just make me envious right off the bat. I wish I were there. I wish I were in the snow. I mean, I think you can have I think winters are for being cozy.
Hmm.
Being cozy is great. I mean,
You're
sure,
right.
if it's bright and blue and you can go outside, that's well. But if it's cozy, that's really good. Imagine the snow falling. You feel sort of like you settle into your house, you put on a
Hmm.
fire. That's the best.
Yeah,
You have your mug of something hot. I've got my mug of tea here, which is my effort at being
I need my
cozy.
hot chocolate. I need to get
And
like
you
a mug
just
of like hot chocolate and
nest,
whipped cream.
right? Like
I love
that's
it.
amazing. As long as you've got heat
Hmm.
and in some form, woolly jumper, tea, hot water bottle when you're sleeping at night, whatever it is, that's so nice. I love good cozy
I love
winter.
it.
In
I
fact,
love it. I
even
love it.
the colder outside, the better.
Actually, it is. What is it? One. It's 1 degree. So it's like the current temperature is just one. So
Okay, yeah.
Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit. Yeah, and I think because y'all use it was at negative. I forgot. Oh man, I forgot Fahrenheit to Celsius. I can't remember, but I think it's like -12. Is it? I don't know. Something like that. Negative
Yeah,
15 Celsius.
it's
Something like
yeah,
that.
no,
So
that seems right. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Yes.
I mean, yeah, because 32 is freezing, right? And
Yep.
0 is freezing for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So, man, that's amazing. But yeah, so for those that don't know who you are, Daniel, can you please introduce yourself and just a quick intro of who you are, what is it that you do, and yeah, love for you to take it away.
So I'm a cozy aficionado. Um, no, my name is Daniel Roe. I'm a full-time open source contributor. So I currently lead the team building Nuxt, which is a framework for building full stack web apps, built on Vue and Nitro as a server framework. And I've been leading the team since the release of Nuxt 3. A few years ago, we're up to Nuxt 4, about to release Nuxt 5.
Oh,
And
oh
before that,
wow,
I was on the
next
core
five
team
already?
already.
Oh my
It's not out.
gosh,
It's
wow,
not
I
out
felt like
yet.
next four was
We
just released
haven't
not too
even
long ago.
done an alpha or beta, but we're at the point where I'm about to move the main branch of the Nuxt repo to B5.
Oh
And then
wow.
that will all still be maintaining 4.x. Obviously,
Hmm.
releases will still go out. I'll still be maintaining 3.x actually for another 6 months. We're at the point where we're starting to move towards that on ramp to a version 5 release.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. And wow, it's funny enough. I think my website's still in like Nuxt 3, so I have not updated it yet. Well overdue. I know you're like, oh, you got to update it. I know,
You do, Austin.
I
I
do.
don't even know. I mean, I look and I see, is this person someone I even know? That's what I think.
Who am I? I have no idea. Oh man, I know,
Exactly.
right? Dude,
You'd
so
almost think you had other priorities, like other things in your life than
I
just
know,
making
right?
sure your website was on the latest version.
Man, I know, right? Oh man, kids. I know, little one, keeping me busy. I'm like, I need to do a Nuxt upgrade. Little one's like, I want to play. Want to play? We got to play with her little kitchen set, or just playing with her toys and all that stuff. So hey, it's had to
Yeah.
wait. It's had to wait. But yeah, so like actually, sort of even just starting this off. Again, my website's currently in Nuxt 3. I need to upgrade to at least 4. I guess I'll wait till 5. Because why not?
This this
But
is the problem. This is what everyone is saying.
mhm.
So I opened a discussion on to say because we released Nuxt 4 and I said, hey, look, it should be a really straightforward upgrade. We in fact had people running Nuxt 4 effectively in production for almost a year, where we had it,
Wow.
people were testing and it was working fine. So I said, look, we're actually going to give people less time than normal. We'll just give them 6 months
Okay.
where we maintain both 3 and 4,
Hmm.
and then we'll move on to 5. And everyone basically thought, well, why upgrade to 4 if 5 is going to come out pretty soon?
Hmm.
So many people have just stayed on 3. Everyone who's actually updated to 4 has found it really fast. Like it's taken like a part of a day rather than
Wow, that's not bad
weeks.
at all. Okay.
But I mean, we really worked hard to make sure it would be a smooth upgrade. But the
Hmm.
problem is, version 3 was about to be end of life, and when something is end of life, it means it doesn't get bug fixes.
Yeah, none.
So you're far better off upgrade. No, I mean, this isn't at you, Austin, but a lot of people did respond with that, and that was partly why I decided to extend. I just announced in the minor release of Nuxt last week, I announced that we would actually maintain Nuxt 3 for another 6 months, even though beyond what we had said. So we said it was going to end January 31st. So it's
Hmm.
now what July 31st.
Wow.
But
Okay.
it
Well,
won't be
thank you.
features. It will just be bug fixes and security issues. So I will continue doing
Hmm.
that, but I would still be urging people
Okay. I will
to
after
upgrade
this.
if
Hey,
they
look,
can to
after
version
this
4
podcast,
already, and then
give
hopefully
me
4 to 5 will also be good.
give me 48 hours after this podcast, okay? And AustinAkers.com will be updated to Nuxt 4, okay? So
48 hours, that I feel like 24. I'll give you
I
24.
was gonna do 24, but I had to add an extra 24, because
Just
little
okay.
ones.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're a seasoned pro. You know how this works, right? Give yourself a bit of margin, bit of wiggle room. Scope always creeps. There's always something. Just
always
wait.
something, always something. Okay, the scope, I gotta add the the scope has to scope creep. So gotta just double up the time. So, but I'm really curious to know. So, what have been the major changes between Nuxt 3 to Nuxt 4? Actually, I think you do have that highlighted in the blog post. But primarily, I guess I'll just instead of 3 to 4. But what about 4 to 5? You said that it should be relatively straightforward. Are there any major rewrites? I know that y'all did a rewrite in the past, and I guess I'll leave that for my next question. But what are the major changes between 4 and 5?
So 4 and 5 is there are two dependencies of Nuxt that are particularly affected. So the first is Nitro, and this is the one that everyone is probably thinking about. So we were originally planning to release Nitro a year ago, Nitro version 3. It's a very significant improvement on Nitro version 2. It's much more performant, it's much smaller, tinier bundle size. We move towards web native response and request objects, for example, and a lot more. It's insane how good it is. It also, for what it's worth, brings support for running as a Vite environment, which actually means we can cut down the um, the the dev servers running in a Nuxt build from 3 to 1, which is incredible. Like even though obviously the code will still need to be transformed for a Nitro environment, it is a lot more performant. Fewer watchers, less memory being used. It's just really good. And so lots of exciting things related to Nitro's upgrade. Now, it's also a very big change because Nitro is a huge part of Nuxt. We built it originally to power the Nuxt server, and so we are tightly integrated with it. It's not just an add-on. Nuxt users pretty much think of Nitro as Nuxt, as part of Nuxt. And in other words, it's not very clear when they're using a Nitro feature or if it's Nuxt. And that's fine. That's how a meta framework like Nuxt works. We wrap the underlying tools that we're using, like Vite or
Mm-hmm.
Nitro, and
Mm-hmm.
we try and make the experience for users seamless. But it means there's a lot for us to do with a big major, with lots of changes in Nitro to make sure that it is as seamless as possible for people. That was the first thing. We originally were going to release that a year ago, Nitro, and therefore Nuxt 4 would have shipped with Nitro in it. But Nitro, there was more work to be done, not just in Nitro, but also in the dependency stack it used. And so month after month went by, and Nitro wasn't released. So in the end, we decided to ship Nuxt 4 with a subset of the changes we had planned. So that was the release of Nuxt 4. That's part of the reason we worked so hard to make it simple, and hopefully most users shouldn't even notice anything when upgrading from 3 to 4. That's the first thing. So Nitro. But the other part is Vite. So we're shipping with a number of changes in Vite from 4 to 5. So one of them is that Vite will be roll down powered in Nuxt
Yes.
5. That means faster builds, native Rust powered bundler. It is insane how fast a Nuxt app will be built in
Mhm.
version 5. And the other is Vite environment API support. So since the
Oh.
beginning with
Mhm.
Nuxt 3, actually even in Nuxt 1 and 2, there have been at least two builds, two client-side builds. So there's one build for the client that runs in the browser, and there's another build for the server. When we added Nitro, we added a third build that
Mm,
is then takes that server output and adds all the other things like API routes. And so we have these three builds that are happening in Nuxt 3 and 4 at the moment. Now, with Vite, already in Vite 7, there's something called the Environment API, which lets you say we have one dev server, but we have a concept of different environments. So some plugins, Vite plugins, will run in some environment. There's some differences to the build pipeline, basically. So you can have like a server environment and a browser environment. And we already can opt into that if you're using Nuxt 3 or 4 with an experimental flag. And it brings the total number of builds from 3 down to 2. So it coalesces that client and server build. And we're going to ship that as a breaking change in Nuxt 5. It might not break things for most people. It might just work. But it's possible if people were deeply dependent on how things were working with Vite under the hood, that it might affect them. And so it's technically a breaking change. But the other thing, of course, is, as I said, when we upgrade Nitro, we'll also be able then to integrate Nitro as a Vite environment. And then it will be not 3 builds, but 1. And that really feels nice, right? It feels as good as deleting code. Like
yeah.
nothing really beats having a PR with a negative diff where you're actually removing
Well,
more lines than you add.
oh, that is
Uh,
like the best thing in the world. I love it. So I love negative diff PRs.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's amazing. And so what is that? Oh man, I'm really curious. Like, so sort of taking a step back from even the question that I asked earlier, right? Y'all rewrote Nuxt. Was it from 2 to 3? I think it was.
We did.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
was it from 2 to I think it was from 2 to 3 and whatnot. Like, what did that entail? Because I know during that time, I think it was Vite was released around that time. And there was a lot of other things that were happening. I think Webpack may have like done some major changes as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. Uh,
You are absolutely right. I mean,
okay.
so Nuxt 2, the big thing with Nuxt 2 was Webpack. So
Mhm.
Webpack 4, well, I'm sorry, they were basically they were additive. So first there was the release of Vue 3 and the release of Webpack 5. Both were breaking changes and both were deeply I mean they affected a lot about Nuxt. So Nuxt 2 was effectively a well, Nuxt One initially was like a template for a Vue app, and it generated that template for the user in a .nuxt folder, and so the user could write their code but benefit from the template. So all the best practices about like routing and so on, it would just be generated for you. And a lot of and Nuxt One and Two had even used EJS syntax. So there was templating syntax. You would have a file, and then you had these like angle bracket percent, and you could inject code that generated other code. And so it was a templated project, and that was how it worked. And so it would generate it in this directory, and then it would configure Webpack and run the build. Well, when you upgrade from Vue 2 to Vue 3, the thing you generate is totally different. It was a big, very significant change. The upgrade from Vue 2 to Vue 3 was very painful with the ecosystem apart from Nuxt, but it was particularly bad for Nuxt because Nuxt had its own ecosystem. So when you
Mm,
have your own ecosystem, it's not as simple as you just migrating your package, then every package built on your package has to migrate as well. And so as a result, as we started this process, there was more and more work that had to be done, or that would have to be done. Anyway, we started moving to Vue 3. We started moving to Webpack 5. And then Vite was released. And basically, Evan, not the story is interesting. You should definitely watch the documentary. I'm sure you have, but if anyone hasn't, you should watch it. And the documentary is fascinating. So it tells the story of how Vite 1 was basically not released. Evan rewrote the whole thing. And it was tackling the similar kind of problem for something like Snowpack. Sort of how do you handle unbundled mode in dev? Like how do you have the browser just instead of just grabbing a bundle like with Webpack, like it just pulls the file it needs, and then any transforms that need to happen on that file happen, but it's just on a sort of per dependency profile basis. So a lot of very, very interesting things came from that because we wanted to support Webpack and we wanted to support Vite because we had people using Webpack. In fact, a lot of our the enterprise people using Nuxt were using Webpack. We
Hmm.
didn't want to just say, hey, not only do you have a total breaking change with Vue, not only are we upgrading Webpack to version 5, but actually we're dropping Webpack and now you have to use Vite. That would have been a painful, painful upgrade, I'll tell you that. So we decided to adopt a bundler agnostic strategy. We try and be agnostic in as many areas of Nuxt as we can. So deployment providers would be a really good example, but also image providers or font sources or KV or database or whatever. We don't want to make those decisions for people. We can provide good defaults, but ultimately people need to be able to choose. So why not do the same for our bundler? And I think it was a really good decision, not because actually people use Webpack with Nuxt 4, 3, and 4. Webpack is used, almost used not at all. But it helped us make really a lot better decisions about abstracting the different responsibilities of the different parts of Nuxt and how they work together.
Hmm.
And I'm not going to rule things out. I mean, Vite has pretty much been the standard that ecosystem has converged on, and for good reason. I'm not trying to say people should use other things, but they can. People can use RSPack or Webpack, or if there's a new bundler released tomorrow, they could adopt it with Nuxt. And that matters a lot for me because it is a default posture of openness to new things and experimentation, rather than saying, we're pinning everything about ourselves on this one particular technology choice.
Hmm.
So, yes, that's
That's interesting. My thought process is that when you think about having, having that very open posture, um, especially when it comes to, hey, bringing your own bundlers and whatnot, my thought process or the first thought that I have are like trade-offs. Like,
yeah,
what are the inherent trade-offs with being able to have that more open posture of like saying, hey, bring your own bundler, whether it's RS Pack, whether it's Vite, right, whether it's Webpack, right? Um,
yeah,
like, because I feel like, several things. I think about code complexity, right? I think about edge cases as well too, right? The not only just code complexity, even like the maintainability uh like of like that sort of part of the architecture of Nuxt, but also the maintainability, but also just I think inherently the complexities and the edge cases that you may experience, especially when people file issues as well, right? How do you sort of like is there some sort of standard? Again, this is I'm not really in that world primarily. I've dove into like Vite itself, and but I've not dove into like the world of bundlers too much. I think I've tried to build my own from scratch, but I'm unsure. Is there like sort of given standards um that everyone sort of follows? Like, what does that sort of look like?
well, I think with bundlers, no, I think almost always that there are so Webpack and RSPack are very similar deliberately. RSPack set out to be a Rust version of Webpack that was compatible with the runtime API.
Hmm.
And so as a result, you do have this very similar behavior. And in fact, the Nuxt implementation of RSPack is almost drop-in. But you also
Oh,
have bundlers like Parcel, which are
yeah.
JSON based in terms of how they are
Yep.
configured. And it's a very different concept, the way everything works, the way the plugin system works. In fact, I don't think it's possible to integrate with Parcel because the plugin API isn't sufficient for what we want to do with the
Mm,
build.
I see.
Um, and obviously, then you might say something like ES build is a bundler. Because it wouldn't be able to be to bundle a Nuxt app as the sole bundler because again, the plugin API, and so that's going to be a bit of a limiting factor. Now, with there's another bundler called Farm, which deliberately has adopted the it's also native based, I think Rust, but
Hmm.
it's adopted the sort of Vite pattern, meant to be a drop-in replacement for Vite, and obviously roll down and roll up also have
Hmm.
very similar patterns deliberately to each other. So rollup was the original, um, like the originator, came up with a plugin API. Vite copied that and extended it, added more. Roll down obviously aims to be a successor to rollup, and so again they fall into a family of bundlers. TurboPack is a little bit similar to Webpack in some ways
Hmm.
because it's created by the creator of Webpack,
Hmm.
but it's also quite different. So it's I don't know. I wouldn't say there's a standard for bundlers. At the end of the day, they're trying to do a similar kind of thing,
Hmm.
which is tree shake dependencies and put code, smash code together and transform it as well.
Hmm.
Although not all of these things are necessarily the same or necessarily going to happen like in the same way. But I think, but the question you raised about complexity from an architectural point of view is interesting because you're right. Having a default open posture for Nuxt means we make our job so much harder. It would be far easier in many ways to pick one of any technology choice and just say, this is what we're using. And we would know, we would have a much easier time of replicating bugs if people encountered them. We would be able to iterate faster. There are huge advantages to it. But I think personally that one of the fundamental values of the web, if not the most fundamental value, is choice and openness. That is what that's what a lot of those original protocols were. Interoperable. You could use any email client you wanted because there's a protocol for it. You can use any web browser you want because there's a protocol for it. Like
Hmm.
there's standards. Standards mean that you have the ability to choose.
Hmm.
And increasingly today, we've moved away from choice. We've moved to apps that run on your phone. There's
Hmm.
no interoperability. I can't choose what Instagram app I'm going to use. It's only going to be Instagram because my content is behind a gate, behind lock and key. It's in their garden. If I want to, and increasingly that's true for more and more things. It feels
Hmm.
like the choice and the power that we used to have as users is being taken from us. So we had that ability to choose in the early days of the web. We have it much, much less now. And I want to plant a flag in the sand and say, no, we stand for choice. So that is something that I believe. Now, there are consequences. What do you do with the fact that it's harder? There's more friction, and the answer is you don't do things monolithically. You
Mm.
don't say the only people who are developing Nuxt are the people on the Nuxt core team. You know, that's not how we build. That's not how I lead. That is not our vision. Our vision is that we do things collectively. We do things as a community, as a
Hmm.
group of people, which means that if we have 30 different deployment providers, then the people who use those providers are the ones who will spot the bugs and make the fixes. It doesn't necessarily mean uh, right? So if it was up to me and I'm running around 30 different deployment providers trying to fix things, that's a very different
Yeah.
matter from saying, no,
Yeah.
we're a community of people who actually use all of these things and we together fix them. And the same is true of any of the other choices that we make available to people. We assume that people will be involved in making fixes and opening PRs because we're not a commercial entity. We are an open source project. In fact, one of the very few open source projects that isn't backed by a corporation. You know, we are very fortunate that some of us are employed by companies who employ us to work on Nuxt. But it's not like React, for example, or Angular, backed by a company. We're not like that. We are first and foremost an open source project that is independent and has open governance and is driven therefore by the community. And that's why I'm running for president. That's
I was like, Daniel Roe for president. Love it. I love it. I love it. And, again, wow, well, first off, that is a phenomenal, phenomenal answer. Because I think, when I think about a lot of open source, like burnout that happens with a lot of folks, right? I mean, it can be a multitude for like just different reasons or whatnot. But has actually been because of folks like needing to like, oh man, I need to I need to cover again, as you said, running to like 30 different, let's say deployment providers or whatever it is, right? And a lot of folks by default inherently say, oh, well, this is the maintainers. This is the maintainer should support this maintainer. This is the maintainers issue and whatnot, right? So, that's led to I know a lot of folks in the past like burnout and whatnot in the open source world. So it's really cool to sort of take a more holistic approach. especially in the realm of like community and contributions and seeing, yeah, so that's really interesting. I like that a lot, actually. And last but not least, my last question, right, is what's next? Sorry, like what's next? Sorry, very terrible joke. Very terrible joke. Okay. I'll store that, that dad joke in my my database.
Yeah,
All right. So,
you
but
should
no,
definitely do it. It doesn't get old.
it doesn't get old at all. No, but yeah, what's next? You stated that, Nuxt 5 is going to be released. What's the ETA for that? And what should people like really expect?
So, ETA is I'm not giving one. Absolutely not.
I love that. Okay.
And the reason is that the so I believe in giving release dates when you control them. And so we try with Nuxt. We don't haven't always said it, but we try to have a patch release every week or so. We try to have a feature release every month or so, and we try and have a major release every year or so. And that means that we don't. It's not like we're going to wait until we have got a really amazing set of things and create a hype release. We're actually just going to keep on plodding away in the best possible way and ship things when we can. So people shouldn't have to wait too long for a bug fix. They shouldn't have to wait too long for new features. Just keep it coming. So we're moving away. We explicitly don't want hype-driven development. We don't want all our cool new features to come out before
Hmm.
1 or 2 conferences. We just want people to benefit from them on an ongoing basis.
Hmm. Yep.
And sometimes we miss out, I guess, on that sense of hype. But I think on the other hand, we're shipping really cool stuff. We're just
Mm,
not maybe marketing it in the same hype way.
I see.
I think it's better for people though. I think it's better for us as developers because we don't have that fear of FOMO when you feel like you're slipping behind. And I think when we do too much hype, we do sometimes lead developers to feel like I'm not a good enough developer because I'm not caught up enough on all of the stuff that's happening.
I see.
I
Yeah.
need to change my tech stack. I need to drop this one framework and move to that other framework.
Hmm.
And I don't think we do people any favors. Obviously, we might make people more excited about our one project, but I think it's not a good thing for our mental health as a whole. So, but anyway, so we have the sort of really, hopefully, a really reliable release schedule for Nuxt. So why wouldn't I set a date for Nuxt 5? Because it's not dependent on something that's within my particular control. So originally, I was planning to release Nuxt 4 based on a Nitro release. I set a date based on the Nitro release date, and then that came and went. And in fact, I did that several more times, to the point where I'm not going to set a release date because and this is there's zero blame here. Like there are really good reasons for delaying Nitro's release, but the problem is it's not in my control
Yep.
to
Yeah.
change that. So what I can say is we'll probably need at least a month after Nitro is released bef- to stabilize things, test across the Nuxt ecosystem, and I hope that will give us enough time. We'll take whatever time we need. We're not going to artificially um, release, but I think that's a reasonable thing. And Nitro is currently, I think, the second alpha was just released last week, so
Wow.
we're in a good
Shout out
state.
to what Puya. Shout out to Puya. So,
Shout out to Puya, who is doing
shout
a
out to Puya.
fantastic
Yo,
job.
10 out of 10. Just that is amazing. I will check that
Yeah.
out. I have to check that out. So, yeah, that's amazing. And I was going to actually ask about one other question, which was developer experience with Nuxt, but I think Anthony Fu would be he's the one who primarily does a lot of the DX, right? In Nuxt, correct me if I'm wrong, right?
He is great. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'll have to get him on this podcast. But Daniel, the amazing, wonderful lead of Nuxt.js, I greatly appreciate you being on this podcast. Yeah, I'd play something for you on my cello, but as of now, I don't think I know, right? I should.
I want a theme tune.
You want a
I
theme
really
tune?
would like a theme tune.
What?
I don't
Okay.
know. If you've ever had the experience of like driving down the road and
Yeah.
you've got the radio on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This thing only it's happened to me like once or twice. It's sort of cresting a hill and
Ooh.
like the sun shining down, and then like a
Mm.
song coming on the radio, which
Oh.
is like I'm in a TV show. At this moment in time, I'm in a TV show. That is the like the credits music, and like the light, like it's just perfect. But I
like
would
a
actually
box,
like, I would like a theme. Don't
a
you? I think
Bach
everyone
cello
should
suite,
have a
a Bach
theme.
cello. I can pluck something for you. Let me.
Yeah. Okay. You do that.
No,
And
my little one. Okay, so all right, this is funny. My little one was
whoa.
playing with my cello, and my string is.
Yeah,
She's
that's
been
not going to
wanting.
make that.
Yeah,
It's not meant to be like that, right? Like
I
it's meant
actually
to
did
be
not realize that till just now. So, my little princess was playing with my cello just yesterday, and I did not realize that my yeah, the string is no longer well, yeah.
that.
Anyway, I'll have to tune it. I will have to tune it, but I was gonna at least do the beginning of the Bach cello suite, like one.
Love
So
Bach.
number one. So, but yeah. Anyway, can't do that at the moment.
Okay. Well, you tell
But
me
next
what
time,
suite it is, and I'll go
round
listen to it
two of the
after we get
podcast,
off.
Daniel. When you're on this, I will start with playing Bach for you. Okay, you'll be back on the podcast. All right.
For,
So,
absolutely, but forget me. This should be your thing. This is
oh,
just
you're right.
should be what you do on the podcast. Like you start off every episode with like,
Ooh,
and then you turn to the camera and you're like, and that's all for now. I'm Austin, and that's and it's just would be such a good start. I feel it would be really good.
you know what? I'll do that. I will
You
start
should.
doing that moving forward. I should. I'll do that moving forward. Everyone gets their own tune. All right. Everyone gets like just like a quick 10. It could be 5-10 seconds of just a song moving forward. I will do that. So yes, I love this. Oh man, thank you so much, Daniel. It has been an absolute joy. Just chatting with you again. It has been way too long. We can't. Don't be a stranger. And yeah, as I said, we'll hopefully see you again soon. Any trips planned? Anything at
Oh,
all? Any?
I don't have anything planned until mid-March, maybe April. It's
April.
quite.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I've got this whole bunch of time. Like February is totally. I'll be in here. What is it? I'll just be building in my
Just be
room
building. Okay. Yeah.
for. But yes, I would love to come see you.
All right. Oh, you were always welcomed. Okay. So yeah, we'll link up. We'll do something. But yes, thank you, Daniel. I hope you have a phenomenal day, or for you, evening. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Exactly.
And I will see you again.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.